Okay. I know you've read or heard about that game, movie, or comic, blah, blah, but you haven't heard it from us. So chill, relax, let us talk all about it before you log off.
What's up, everybody? Sir Aaron Carter here with the internationally known Steven Gutierrez.
Hiya.
And we're back for another BYLO Daily, and we have some shocking news that is hitting the internet very hard, and comic book fans, and movie fans, and Tom Holland fans, and maybe some Kevin Feige fans. But it seems like, as of this moment, as of August 20th, 2019, that Spider-Man will no longer be in the MCU. That's right. I'm reporting live from Disneyland that Spider-Man will no longer be in the MCU. And it all comes.
Kevin Feige, your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, nothing right now. I don't want to talk to anybody right now.
How'd you get in my office? Get out of here. Get out of here.
So reporting from Deadline? Yeah, I was about to call him Dateline ABC.
I did that several times before we started this.
So Deadline just reported that Sony and Disney could not come up with an agreement on how the future of their profit sharing was going to be with Spider-Man. And so for people that don't know, a little quick backstory. Marvel had to sell off their properties to different people. They sold them to Fox, sold them to Sony during their time of need. Then they made a movie. Disney bought them. They made more money, but they didn't have the rights to all their people, so they were working with what they had. Then, by some shock and amazement, after two decent to bad Spider-Man movies made by Sony, Marvel and Sony Disney and Sony come to some type of agreement to where Sony can make these movies. I believe it is like they'll make the movies, but you're going to use the people we're going to have our guy produce it, Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige goes forward as producing it as if it's under the MCU umbrella, and as if Spider-Man is already in there, and they got him for three of their biggest movies: Civil War, Endgame, and what was the other one? Civil War, Endgame, and Far From Home, and also Infinity War. So those are the movies that they kind of collabed on, right? Basically got 5% of, I want to say, any of the revenue. Disney got 5% of it, and Sony
on the standalone, right? So Far From Home and Homecoming.
So Disney decided, hey, if we're producing these things, we should probably get a little bit extra, right? So let's boost this up to how about 50-50, which is
because I'm gonna go on the limb and say it's because of their choice in writers and the way that they morph the character to fit into the MCU. I think that's why those movies made as much as they did. Hands down. Because the direction that Sony had the characters by themselves. We all saw Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
and that was rough.
So, I may be alone on this one. I may be alone on this one, but I went back and looked at a while back. Looked back at Spider-Man 1 and 2, and it wasn't as great as I thought it was.
They don't hold up.
They don't hold up to me, especially with with this Tom Holland universe. It does not. Yeah. It's apples and oranges type of thing, and it just seems like Disney and Kevin Feige got it right whenever they went for their Spider-Man. Sony, I don't know if they I think Sony's thing is, I understand they don't want to give up 50%. That's a 45% increase, right? And that's a lot of more money out of their pocket if this franchise is making billions, right? Or at least $1 billion, because Far From Home made $1 billion.
That's a lot of freaking money.
That's a lot of money. And they're probably looking hey, we're getting not Sony, but Disney's probably like, hey, we just made $1 billion off of this thing, and we only got 5% off of it. We did a lot of the work, right? Or our people that we chose did a lot of the work.
We handpicked. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sony's like, well, we own it. So what are you going to do? And they're like, we'll just take it back. Because I've had people say, regardless of who makes the movie, people are going to go see that, right? It's Spider-Man. He's one of the top 3 comic book heroes that people love. You know, you got Batman, you got Superman, and you have Spider-Man. If you put one of them out there in a movie theater, people will go see it. That's just kind of how it is, because those are household names.
The recognizable heroes that pretty much anybody knows who's not even into comic books will know that character.
Exactly.
It's real. You have to live under a rock.
Exactly. To be like, you have to totally just never be like, I'm not from Earth. Who is this? Like, I don't know what a spider is. So I think there's greed on both sides. Disney. I keep saying Marvel. It kind of seems like Marvel's not even a part of this anymore. Like, it's just two giants between Sony and Disney just fighting over for it. So as they're battling, and the viewers are the victims in all this. That's what it really feels like to me. That's
what it actually comes down to, because we're the ones that want to see these films, these heroes in action, and by the bickering, like we're gonna lose out on either some really good Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
And they're supposed to be, they had two, or how many more did they have planned out?
I from what I read, my understanding is that there's supposed to be two more with Tom Holland, and I think the director just had his name. God, I can't find the name. But whoever directed Far From Home is supposed to be on the next two.
So basically, what the worst case, this is the worst case scenario type of thing, right? The worst case scenario is they actually do split up, and Tom Holland gets booted from the MCU, and they have
John Watts is the director.
John Watts. So most likely, I don't know if do they go with it. So worst case scenario, let me go back to that. Worst case scenario, they drop Tom Holland, they drop Mr. Watts. He's out of the MCU, and they make a standalone Spider-Man movie again. So we see Uncle Ben dying all over again, because that's what Sony just knows how to do. And one of his first girlfriends will be in there. I don't know, one of them. So, and I think
it's Betty Brant.
I think we just won't. Yes,
they're just gonna just make it all crazy.
I don't think that will have the same effect and resonate the way Sony thinks it might. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario is they come to some agreement and they figure out, what they can do to actually get to keep Spider-Man in this universe. Because I feel like with the overall thing, they just bought Fox, right? So they're taking two steps forward by getting your other franchises like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, all back in the mix, to take one gigantic two-step step back by letting go of Spider-Man, one of your biggest franchises. Like, it makes absolutely no sense for you to do that, and I don't understand why you would even think that would be a positive thing for your future. And I know you have it. You have your future planned out with this character. So what's the purpose?
They kind of started basing some of the main plot, like story for the next phases, off of what seemed like off of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And if I was Sony and I seen that, I understand, like, yeah, that's they kind of need this character, but you kind of probably need that money that those pictures are going to bring in. So just let these successes happen, and then just ride the train. Just ride the train all the way through.
Yeah,
your 50% is still a lot of money if you're making it, because you're having the costs to put up for the movie. So between each other, you're still making a ton of money together. And then you have fans that will know, okay, this is a joint effort. Maybe I'll go watch another Sony movie, because they'll probably promote some Sony movies in front of these Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's irritating, because you felt like, well, at least me personally, I felt like they were so close to actually having everybody back under one umbrella, and we were going to actually get this full fleshed out Marvel Cinematic Universe the way a lot of the comic book fans have been wanting for the longest. But with this type of news, now it's still kind of reports out there saying that there's negotiations still going on back and forth or whatever. And of course, I mean, that's the big corporate world that we don't have privy to those meetings every day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like there's a way. So we were talking about this before because the Venom sequel is on its way. Tom Hardy's going to return for that one. You got Andy Serkis, who's going to be directing it, I believe. There's still the Morbius movie with Jared Leto. That's all in the Spider-Man, universe and stuff like that. So these movies, I don't care what anybody says, will not reach the same heights as the Spider-Man did by themselves. Like it just will not. There's no possible way that these characters that nobody really, I don't know, they just don't resonate. So anyway, this is what Sony, I feel, because they kind of hold the cards, right? This is what I feel. Yeah, I feel like they held the card. They own the characters. They kind of own the cards, right? I feel like if they want to get more money and actually appease a lot of people, a lot of fans, they could do this. They could say, hey, we'll drop it down from that 50% that you wanted, and we'll give you the 35%. We'll go 30%. We'll give you 30%, but in this bundle, you have to help out and wrap in our other two franchises, our Venom and now our Morbius. And then we'll give you the 10% on those cuts. That way, again, there's 3 franchises all being risen up and even just mixed in the whole thing, but they're all being led at the helm by a Marvel Kevin Feige. So who has the grand vision of how Marvel universe is going to mix and everything like that. And Sony, you're still getting a lot of money out of everything. And then you're getting 2 possible franchises that probably would have flopped on their own. Because I looked it up, and Venom made
characters from it.
Yeah, you're getting characters from it. And then I looked it up, and Venom made $200 million. Like
that's it.
That's all Venom did. Venom didn't do that. Like blockbuster movies, like all the other whatchamacallits, all the Marvel Cinematic Universe ones. Like, it just didn't do it. And it didn't even do blockbuster numbers like how you would look at a DC, which is technically not the greatest, but still made a lot of money because, again, it's whatchamacallit. It's Batman and Superman. So people were coming. So apparently 856 million worldwide is how much that did there.
Oh man. But I feel like if you keep this partnership with Disney, you'll make more than that. Like, I don't know what the formula is that Kevin Feige's using, but it was working.
It's you know what the formula is. Well, you know what it's an easy formula. You have an entire universe, not a section of a universe. You have an entire universe to work with. So even while you're sitting in the theater and you're watching a Spider-Man movie, you have hints and traits from other franchises within it. There was Iron Man all over the place in that one, right? You couldn't get enough of Iron Man in that universe. But it's just the same thing. Like, it's just you're not limited. That's the thing. I think that's the big drawback from everything, or the big takeaway from everything. You are not limited to just the Spider-Man universe. You have every other universe at your disposal. And I think that's the big thing. I literally think that's the big thing. I don't know what else. I mean, because Sony, you only got Spider-Man stuff. How many movies are you going to make about Peter Parker dying again? Right? Or about Ben dying again?
Uncle Ben dying again. He only can get shot so many times.
Because I think when it comes to Disney, they think in the decades, like futures, moves. I think Sony is thinking in the now. We can make money right now. The next 2 movies will make a lot of money right now. But like as a franchise and as a company, I think you got to think for the future as opposed to what will be in your pockets right now. That's just how I feel, But I don't know. I really hope discussions go on. I was looking at Twitter, and they had like a poll on Fandom, which is a pretty decent website. They had a poll saying, can Sony handle Spider-Man on their own? 64,000 people voted on this one, with an 83% saying nope. That's what it is.
Damn.
Then 12% at second place saying we'll see, and then 5%, which they were giving Marvel previously or Disney previously of course. But I'm like, it's written right here. Come on now.
You need to tweet that out to Sony.
Sony needs to see that.
All these people that will go to see these movies voted on this.
Yeah.
And they said, you can't handle this, guys. You can't.
But I'm not just blaming Sony. I think Sony and Disney both need to come to terms with this.
No, yeah, they definitely should. I mean, Sony ultimately owns the movie rights for whatever for Spider-Man. And so if they want to stay in the game making this money, I think they should definitely work hand in hand with Disney, because Disney knows what they're doing. And just judging from your previous attempts, and then you're branching off into like the other side characters and stuff, it's not doing well. It's not doing well. And if you want that franchise to live on, just bite the bullet. Just bite the bullet and work with them. A smaller cut. Do that 35% thing, and then give them the other 15% on the other movies. That's not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. You're basically almost guaranteeing that your movies will be a success.
Well,
just by working with Disney.
We're going to have to see how everything pans out in the future. Hopefully it'll be all for the best. But like always, we want to keep the conversation going. And you can do that, of course, by hitting us up on any of our social medias. It's before you log off on everything from Twitter to Facebook, and even our emails if you have a long email you'd like to write. And iTunes as well. We like seeing and reading the reviews on that. So definitely hit us up there too. Any last words on this, Stephen?
I mean, I don't know. I want Tom Holland as Spider-Man forever. That's it.
Well, you heard it here, everybody. Stephen wants Tom Holland. So that's it, everybody. For the internationally known Stephen Gutierrez, I am Sir Aaron Carter saying that has been your BYLO Daily.